Nothing Yet but Bachman Turner Overdrive.
Oh, that's a great song.
Which would be a great song.
No, true. So I guess we could call this a Russell. When, something gets messed up like that, we could just start calling it the Russell.
Russell.
Yeah, there you go. Because that would have been, BTO would have been good.
Yeah,
No, it wouldn't.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think there's a skip in a generation now, and I think there's going to be a gap, and then there's going to be a resurgence, because I think there's going to be a generation now that gets all their news through craft beer or beard cream or something along those lines, which I'm sure you can enjoy my cynicism there.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I came up with the idea of taking the brown bottle, and Budweiser followed this and writing on it in a light color. But I wanted to write inside the bottle, and that's where the advertising should have been sold.
See, I thought that the advertising in the media should be in panels on the sidewalk. And now with everybody looking down at their phone anyway, my idea would have surged because everybody's looking down. Nobody's looking up. If we ever get flying cars like we were promised, nobody will see them because they'll be up there.
By the way, they have flying cars, but they're on that same shelf where the electric motor sat for many years.
Yeah, I don't think we're ready for flying cars. We're having trouble with 2 dimensions. I don't like the idea of a car wrecking and falling. Right. What do you love about the job? What do you?
Yeah, it's my wife and I have this conversation all the time. I'll go to work in the morning, and whatever time that is, because a lot of times I work late at night, and so my day could start at 7, it could start at 11. You just don't know.
Yeah, you've got a weird schedule.
Yeah, it's weird. And what I love is I could have 10 things planned that I have to do today, no matter what, or the world could stop for Mike. And 10 seconds into getting into the office, I'm throwing my camera bag onto my shoulder and I'm heading out the door to go to the scene of something, good, bad, or indifferent, and take pictures. Well, I love that part there's no way I could get bored.
Right.
There's never any boredom. Never.
Yeah. News it's not static.
No, it's not. And I'm really an advocate. The reason I started this is because my wife and I lived in Center City in a high-rise, and we loved it. And then we had children who need to go to school, and I don't have $40,000 for grade schools per year, and I have 2 4.5-year-olds. So we decided we got to move out of the city. Well, where are you going to move for schools? There's a lot of good suburban school districts, and Lower Merion is one of the best, and that's why we picked the Lower Merion.
Okay.
But what we found was when we got here, we had no idea what was going on. The big paper when I was a kid growing up was called the Mainline Times, and there's a version of that around. It's not what it is or was, but there is a version. And my age group, you would pick up that paper and scour it, and you'd know about everything going on in your local little town. Well, now we come into, I got to find something out about the school district. You can't call the school district and ask them. Actually, you can, but it's hard to get to the right person. They really, like everybody else, want you to get on the website. So I found that I need to be on 30 websites to figure out what's going on, meaning I'll spend my whole day on different websites just trying to figure out what's going on 2 blocks away from me. That's why we started this hyper-local news.
That's really interesting because it's amazing how in this effort to put more information out there, people are less they're connected but not communicating. They're not effectively communicating anymore. It's like I hate it when I go into a brick and mortar store and they refer me to their website, because I'm not here because I want to look at the web. I know where the web is. It's on my phone. It's over here. I'm here because I want the product and I need to talk to somebody about the product. But, and I've almost turned into that level of grumpy when somebody comes up to me and says, Can I help you? Unlikely. Because I don't know how many times I've had people walk me around the store and I'm just supporting their illusion that they know where things are. And it's like, I'm about to break away from this guy. I can't give him any more time because he does not know where anything except for the time clock and the bathroom is in this store,
It really is amazing. And a lot of people don't have, they have no finesse. I mean, for example, I went into a car dealership not too long ago. And as soon as I walked in the door, this guy starts heading towards me. And I'm thinking, oh, my gosh, I'm not even here to buy a car. But he came over and he looked. He said, I could tell just by looking at you. You really don't want me around. So I just want to give you my card. And maybe if you have questions, you'll find me because I'm on commission. And if you were to buy a car, which maybe you are, maybe you're not, if you bought it from me, that would be really cool. And I thought, wow.
That's a good way.
What a novel approach.
Yeah.
The guy walked up. And you know what? I did have questions. And we ended up getting a car from him. Not that day. A few days later when we needed another company car. For my wife's business.
It still worked, though. That's a good low-pressure technique that works. But, no, I don't think people have as much, not even finesse. There's no grace in conversation anymore. Because there's very little chance during a conversation nowadays that you could get punched in the side of the head. When we were growing up, you could get smacked, punched, abused in many ways during a conversation. So you had to learn. You'd say the wrong word. I can think of occasions where I said the wrong word, and next thing I knew, I was recovering from a slap. So I had it bookmarked out. I don't say that way. It doesn't happen like that anymore. People just say whatever they want to say, and then somebody gets offended, and they post something online, Well,
the world's crazy. I'll tell you this story. A girl's in the supermarket. And I know this girl. She relayed this story to me. Very attractive young lady. And she's in the supermarket. And this guy is up further in the aisle, whatever aisle they were in, and he keeps looking at her and then going back to his phone and looking at her and going back to his phone. And it started really freaking her out. And finally, with this very upset, almost mad look on his face, he walks up to her and he says, and I forget which dating app he was trying to find her on, so I'll just grab the only one I know. He said, "You're not on any of the dating sites." And he walked out of the store. I'm thinking to myself, you idiot, you've done everything but say hello.
Right.
I mean,
right.
She knew of you, even though she was a little afraid of you because you looked like a stalker. But
it's the same mindset where people take videos of fireworks instead of watching them, or they hold up an iPad at a concert instead of actually being in a moment. They really don't know how to be in a moment.
No, and I'm pretty sure if I wasn't an outgoing person, I wouldn't be married to the woman I was married to now.
I
mean,
there's a word for people who hold up a phone during a concert or fireworks.
Okay.
Pre-adolescent?
That's awfully generous.
I don't know. What word is that?
Oh, no, I'm not saying it.
Oh, I'm just wondering.
No. You've got to learn tone and pacing if you're going to put something out there, Russell.
You know, I wish that they never came out with text, and instead of text, you had to send a video. Because I've practically seen people, thinking that they had been dumped by their husband or wife because of the way they read the text.
They read it wrong. They interpreted it. Yeah. And with abbreviations and all, it can...
And there's no tone. There's no anything to it. It's just some letters.
I did this to a young lady I knew was sending me what I felt were inappropriate messages. So and she said that I was just being an old fogey, and she was right. So I got her phone, and I switched my contact information with her mother's. And she continued the text.
Oh, dude, you're just wrong.
I shut that down.
You're just wrong.
And and she got very mad at me, and I said, but on the good side, they do want you over this weekend for dinner, according to the text I got. You should switch that back at some point. But people misinterpret it, and we're using language so poorly, and we're that briefness in language. People say LOL. They say it to each other. You know?
Yeah.
We're not better for it. I mean, I understand, you know, and one of the things I made a note to ask you about was you're into 60 now, and we were talking about the diff. I said, well, it's 60 like 50, and you were like, ah! You know, it's like, no, it's a different. What'd you say? 18 and 30.
It's the difference between 18 and 30.
So tell me about 50 to 60. What you saw as a change?
Well, I don't know. I wasn't really prepared for this, but I really can tell you
You've got lots of data.
Yes, I do. But unfortunately, it's like this: a fly just went by, and now I'm following the fly around the room, and I forget why I'm even here. That's the difference between 50 and 60. Or this: I go online to pay a bill. And which I love paying my bills online because I hate paper, but I do like some paper, green paper, and something on that screen attracts my attention. Yeah. And 2 hours later, I'm like, I know I sat down here to do something.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the problem. It's bringing out behaviors in us that are like Aspergery or autism-like behaviors, this singular focus and everything, and not in a good way. Because, you know, I'll do the same thing. I'll go on because I've got to do this, and next thing I know, I'm laughing at a monkey riding a motorcycle until I'm hungry and have to leave. Like, you know.
And I'm rooting for the monkey. Actually,
right? If you get monkeys doing anything online, I'm in. You know, and if it's a monkey on a motorcycle going after piñatas, I'm just stuck until it stops. Yeah. You've got me.
Well, I now use lists. I've always done lists. You asked me about that 40 to or that 50 to 60. My list used to be work-related lists. I'd walk in the morning and say, okay, do this, 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 this. I had 4 lists, actually. I had my ABCD list, and the D was like the least important, the A was the most important.
Now it's pants, take medicine.
Well, you're almost close. The first thing is write down what you came in to do. So I make the list as I go now. You know, I'm on page 21, make it to page 22. You know, whatever.
Right,
it's crazy.
It deteriorates to the point, you know, where, you know, I think it's going to end up with a post-it on the front door that says, "Are we wearing pants?" You know, I think that's where it ends. You know, well, I can see it.
I don't know, but I find that I am a knowledge of useless tidbits of data.
Yeah, yeah.
And those useless tidbits of data will fall out at the most inopportune time. The most inopportune time.
I feel like that, you know, to learn something new, I have to throw something out the other end. You know? And I'm, like you said, full of useless. Like if you ask me on 60s, 70s, or some 80s television series trivia, I can relive them. I'll
be there with you. Let's sing the jingles, the commercials. I can do them all.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you ask me about something that happened last week, what was the name of that person that you met and spent an hour with?
I'm big on, you know, I guess I am the typical American or world person now, but I binge watch a lot. And I find that binge watching is great because I can binge watch the same thing 5 times, and maybe by the 5th time I'll have actually gotten enough to figure out everything.
Yeah,
I mean it's just bad.
I do binge watching when I'm ill. I don't like to do it regularly because I think in some shows, and it's been destroyed all over because everybody does it now, you needed some things, and I don't think they're written the same now, were written so that you had that week in between to discuss it with people, to see what was happening next. And I think we're
Book
not
club.
digesting it. Yeah. Book
club.
We're not digesting